What's going on, everybody? You're listening to the latest and greatest edition of Between the Hash Marks. I'm Sean McCabe, here with the one and only James Cole. James, what the hell is so funny?
The fact that you just did la 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 to
Hey,
warm
man,
up.
I'm singing, man. You got to break out the vocal cords, you know?
Absolutely. People don't on the other side don't realize that, like, to record, sometimes we don't do it, but you're supposed to do mouth exercises and little things like that. It sounds weird, but so that way you're pronouncing things correctly and you're not. You're supposed to, so everything comes out more fluently.
Well, what's funny is we do these exercises sometimes, and we still, mess up certain words and.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Hey, whatever. Yeah,
That's
there you
one.
go. There you go. We have an absolutely loaded show. I know it's a cliche every single week now, but it's absolutely true. We're talking about the NFL draft. Who are the winners? Who are the losers? Talking about those quarterbacks, of course. We got some breaking news for you guys as well. NBA, NHL series updates. Crazy. Both NBA and NHL playoffs have been amazing this year, just like every year, but amazing. And, of course, it's time for my opening rant.
Your number one source for sports.
You know who I can't stand? Kevin Durant.
He looks like Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton had a kid.
Now, who can argue with that?
I hate Boston.
I'm the biggest Miami Heat hater you'll ever meet.
I just don't understand where you're getting your bogus information from.
What the hell are you even talking about?
Well, I'm sorry you're too freaking sensitive to handle the truth.
You think I'm crazy? I'm just getting warmed up.
You're now between the hash marks with James Koklak and Sean McCabe.
People outside of this city are going to be super pissed off at me for saying this, but it's impossible to deny. The city of Boston currently has the best coach in two of the four major sports. The first one is obvious. It's Bill Belichick with the New England Patriots. Have you ever heard of that guy, James?
No.
Yeah, exactly. And the one that is less obvious to the average Joe, but all the signs and warnings, if you live outside the city of Boston, are there. Are you ready for this? Cue the drum roll, please. Brad Stevens of the Boston Celtics. And because of him, the Boston Celtics will win the NBA title in 2019, and that will be the beginning of a Boston Celtics dynasty. I know. You probably think that I'm absolutely crazy, which I am, but that's another conversation for another day. You're probably going to say something like, "Oh my God, Sean, you're from New England. You're always saying this because you're from New England." No, shut up and listen. Everybody is completely infatuated with the Philadelphia 76ers and trusting the process, and I get it. I myself, I'm a huge Sixers fan. Take me back to those Allen Iverson days any day. But Joel Embiid, he might be the second most talented big man besides Anthony Davis. Ben Simmons, he's the next coming of Magic Johnson and LeBron James. I get it. They are set up to be very good for quite a long time. But the Boston Celtics are poised to win the NBA title next year, and they are about to become a dynasty, and that's all because of Brad Stevens. Have you not looked at this guy's resume? He took Butler. Do you need me to say it again? Butler.
One more time?
Butler to back-to-back NCAA title appearances. And since taking the Celtics job, the Celtics have won more games every single season. Just look at the individual players themselves. Terry Rozier, he's in his third NBA season. He was shooting 27% his rookie year. That is terrible. This year, he's up to 39%. That's not, all-star level talent right there, but that is a huge increase over the course of 2 years. And this postseason, now that he is starting because Kyrie is injured, Rozier is shooting 44% and averaging 19 a game. Jaylen Brown, same thing. This is his second year. Last year, he was averaging 6 points per game. This year, averaging a little more than 14 points per game with a shooting percentage of 46%. This postseason, 17 points per game, same shooting percentage. I want to talk about Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving was more efficient this past year, increasing his field goal percentage from 47 to 49%. And I can tell you what, taking a superstar in this league and making him more efficient and more productive than what he was with LeBron James is incredibly difficult. He currently has, this is Brad Stevens, currently has Al Horford playing the best basketball of Al Horford's career. I'm telling you, this is something special. This is some Bill Belichick type of BS. It's amazing. Literally squeezing the absolute most you can out of every single player. Do you need more proof? Look at the players that have left the Boston Celtics and Brad Stevens. Avery Bradley, he was one of the most efficient, productive, and amazing at defending the three players. What's he been doing lately? I think he's with the Pistons. How did Jay Crowder look in Cleveland? Stevens literally took a dude that is 5'8" and turned him into an MVP candidate. That player, Isaiah Thomas, hasn't done jack since. But seriously, not only is he a great coach, but look at what the Celtics have going into next year. They're starting five. Kyrie Irving, Gordon Hayward, Jason Tatum, who's averaging 14 per game this year and 17 in the playoffs. He's going to be better next year when it's not his rookie year. Jaylen Brown, a year better, Jaylen Brown, and Al Horford. I am sorry, but that is by far the best starting five in the entire NBA. They also have great depth with Rozier and Smart. Not sure if they'll keep Morris and Monroe and Baines, but they'll keep some of them, and that depth is unreal. How about their style of play? Well, I mean, they had the eighth best offense with no Hayward and no Kyrie for half the year. They had the fourth best defense with an extremely young team. And that's another thing. Brad Stevens has young players buying into playing defense. That is unheard of. They cause turnovers. They are great on the breakaway. They're great at the half court. And anybody on that team can shoot a three. They can play any style of ball with comfort. LeBron, I'm sorry, but he's not staying in Cleveland. And if he does, it doesn't even matter. The Celtics right now are better than the Cavs right now. LeBron's not going to Philly. It would make sense. It wouldn't make sense for him personally. It'd be great for Philly. It'd make sense for them. But he's most likely going out west to Houston. So no need to worry about anything in the East besides Philadelphia next year, who Philly is good, but they lack the depth that Boston will have next year. And let's be honest, this Warriors thing, you saw them all year. They struggled at times. They will win this year. That's obvious. And that'll be their fourth finals appearance in a row with 3 titles. Next year, it'll be the 5th in the row. They'll make the finals next year, but they will be tiresome and they will crumble. And this young, rejuvenated Celtics team will be able to handle that. Everything is setting up perfectly for the Celtics. And if you're giving me all the advantages I just named outside of having the best coach, I would still take it. But you're also giving me the best coach in the NBA too? Yeah, I like my odds.
I don't at all. Couple things. First off, I think that it's too early to predict a dynasty starting next year. This finals hasn't even happened yet. But, I mean, you mentioned in here a couple of things. First and foremost, I had mentioned to you off air that LeBron James going to the Houston Rockets would immediately put the Rockets and the Warriors above the Celtics in my eyes. The Warriors are the team to beat as of right now. Best starting five. I like the starting five. I think Kyrie Irving has potential to be the best point guard in the league. But a team that has Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green as 4 of their starting 5, I'm taking all of those players, with the exception of a healthy Kyrie Irving, over the players on the Celtics. I still think that the Warriors have the best team in the league. They may not have the best coach, but Steve Kerr's a pretty damn good coach. Will they be tired? There's a possibility, but there's also a possibility anything could happen. LeBron could end up at Houston. You could have Paul George end up in Philly. You could have, a million things could happen in that course of time. Trades happen, free agency happens. What happens if Gordon Hayward comes back and he's not the same player? What happens if Kyrie comes back and he gets hurt again? So many things out there can happen that can deter this from happening. I just think it's too soon to say that the Celtics are going to go on a dynasty. But I will give you that I do think that Brad Stevens is the best coach in the NBA, and I think he's proved that with the amount of talent that he has had and has gotten so far. And this year, they were definitely the team to beat in the East if they didn't lose Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving for the seasons.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you're just looking at these players, the starting five, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown right now. You're not seeing what the development they're going to have over the course of the offseason. I can guarantee it's going to be a lot better than this season. Every player that has played for Brad Stevens has grown as a player and has been more productive than the following year than the previous year. Every single player. And if you leave Brad Stevens, it is proven that it is not a wise basketball decision to do that, because you will not be as a productive player as you would have been under Brad Stevens.
Well, here's a couple things. Those are the shooting guard and small forward, if I'm correct. Right?
Yeah. It's Isaiah Thomas, it's Avery Bradley, it's Jay Crowder.
Well, no. I'm saying for the two players you just named.
Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Yeah, they're both like wing guys, but shooting guards at the same time. Because
I'm still taking Klay and Kevin Durant though. I mean, those two payers are in their primes of their careers.
I'm not saying Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant are worse than Jaylen Brown Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. What I'm saying is that the whole starting five of the Boston Celtics next year is going to be better than the starting five of the Golden State Warriors next year.
I don't think so.
And you want to compare it just player by player or just unit as unit. I mean, you look at Draymond Green and Al Horford. Al Horford has been the better player under Brad Stevens than Draymond's actually, I thought, has gone a little bit downhill. He is the bodyguard at the door, but
he's the best defensive player in the league right now.
No, that's not even true, because between Rudy Gobert and Al Horford, they've had this season they had far better seasons defensively than Draymond Green. And not to mention, if you put somebody like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard in there, they also have year in and year out better defensive seasons than Draymond Green.
Now, a couple things too here is that what happens if, or I should say, in 3 years from now, you're going to have to pay all these players if they're going to develop as good as you say they are. And I trust that Brad Stevens can get that job done, that he can develop these players. He's proven that he can. But are you going to be able to afford these players? Is this actually going to be a dynasty, or are they going to win one title and move on from it because players are going to leave? They're going to want more money. That seems to be the common theme here. And they're going through it in Golden State now, is that Kevin Durant is going to get paid. Steph just got paid. But are they going to be able to pay Klay Thompson and Draymond Green when the time comes? Because I don't think that they're going to be able to.
Klay's already gotten paid. Klay's getting paid right now.
Is he?
Currently, yes.
Okay.
Draymond, that's the thing for them. They need to figure that out. But the thing is, you can go over the salary cap in the NBA. You just get taxed more. So this can still
kind of like baseball. But baseball doesn't have a salary cap.
No, baseball has no cap.
But if you go over a certain amount, then you have to pay like triple the amount in tax dollars. I think it was a couple years ago, the Yankees paid more money in tax dollars than a certain team. I think it was the Rays paid in their entire payroll.
Yeah, so that's a thing, and the league is structured now to where if you're a free agent, the team that you currently play for can pay you more than any other team in the league. That's just how, and they did it this way to try to keep players from moving teams and becoming on a super team. They didn't take for the account that players don't care as much about money. They'd rather go play for super teams and play with their friends. And
now
stuff like that.
What happens if, now this is a stretch, but I could see it happening because this player does not want to play for his current team. I think you know where I'm going with this. What happens if Kawhi Leonard ends up on the 76ers?
Yeah, so like something like that were to happen, like it. What would the Sixers give up for that though? Like, I mean, Do you think they could make that trade and still keep Simmons and Embiid?
I do, because on the sole purpose of Kawhi does not want to be in San Antonio.
But it's not up to him.
But he could sit out. He could just say, "I'm not playing. I'm done."
Yeah, I think that hurts.
He,
but that hurts him a lot more than it hurts the Spurs.
It may hurt his reputation, but I think that the Spurs would just at that point want to get rid of him and get what they could back for him at that point, so they can get rid of the circus around it. Because the Spurs are not known for having this kind of circus act.
I don't think
on.
that's a thing. That I think it's kind of overstated by a lot of people that there's a huge problem going on here, and I don't really think it is. I just think it was determined by Kawhi's people that he's not going to be playing this year, and that's that. And the Spurs really wanted him to play because the Spurs really thought they would have a chance this year if Kawhi came back. Whether that is the case or not, who knows? I mean, the only sample size that we have of this is 3 quarters or 2.5 quarters where the Spurs dominated the Warriors in that first 2.5 quarters of Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals last year. That's really all we have to go off of with this sample. So yeah, maybe they thought that could happen, and I think they still think that can happen. So I don't see them trading Kawhi unless it is the right deal for them. But I don't see that happening.
The point I'm trying to make here is that so many things could happen.
So many things could happen. But if Kawhi goes to the Sixers, so let's say for argument's sake, that they do keep Simmons and they do keep Embiid. They're at least going to have to get rid of somebody like J.J. Redick, probably a lot of their depth in their bench, which is what made them, I thought, so effective against the Miami Heat. So they would have to bring in these other shooters that who knows if it'll be effective. And I don't think that the Sixers will have as much depth as the Celtics. Not to mention the star power. I mean, yeah, they would have the 3 best players, I would say, but Kyrie and Gordon Hayward wouldn't be any slouch to any of them. And the development from Brown and Tatum is going to take effect. We've already seen it this year, where Tatum might have been the best rookie that was drafted from last year's draft class. Ben Simmons
went on number 3 or number 2.
Yeah, it was number 3. Number 3 to the Celtics.
That's what I thought.
So, and he's had a sensational year, and he still needs to get bigger. He's like 19 years old. And Jaylen Brown? He couldn't shoot in college when he was at Cal. He couldn't shoot. He's just really athletic and can rebound. And he's now a 46% shooter from the field, which is like super efficient. So like these things, this coaching is going to happen. You look at Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. They have Tom Brady. Tom Brady's great, and they have Gronk. Gronk is great. But what other superstar level players do they have? You look at Julian Edelman. Julian Edelman is a great player, but Julian Edelman is great because of the system he works in and the coaching he has. You look at all these players.
I would say more often than not, the superstars get traded or are released to other teams, like Jamie Collins and Chandler Jones.
And when those players leave, what is Jamie? I haven't heard Jamie Collins' name.
Well, he went to the Browns. It's tough. But Chandler Jones has been unreal.
Chandler Jones is legit, but what have the Cardinals done since they got him? They got him the year that they just got off of losing the NFC Championship game, I think
Carson Palmer going down had a lot to do with that too. But the difference is the coaching there. I don't think that. But that being said, I understand where you're trying to go with this, but I just think there's too many moving parts. Too many things could happen to deter it, and it's not even including injuries. Damian Lillard, I don't think is going to be in Portland much longer. He's not getting the recognition. I think he wants out of there.
But he's not making where's he going? He's not going to Philly. Philly is the one team that is a threat to Boston right now, or to Boston going in forward. If LeBron stays in Cleveland,
in the East,
in the East. And if you look at Cleveland, if LeBron decides to stay, they need a point guard. So maybe something like that happening. But
LeBron's not staying. There's no chance.
Exactly.
He's going to the Rockets.
But where would Lillard go?
I don't know. I'm just saying that if he ended up on the Sixers, that would be a good pickup. But
would it be though? Because I think that would take away from the whole chemistry of what the Philadelphia 76ers are, and that's Ben Simmons is being Magic Johnson. Ben Simmons is being LeBron James. So bringing in another dominant ball handler who is considered a star, I don't think actually does a lot for this team. They need a wing guy. They need another power forward or another small forward. So somebody like Kawhi.
So
would
this
work.
won't happen. But Kawhi, or what if LeBron ended up on Philly, or what if LeBron ended up in Houston? I think that there are so many things could happen to deter this. So many players could be moving in different scenery. Paul George is a free agent. He didn't play well this postseason, but he's still a star player, and he would fit right on the 76ers being a wing guy.
He would fit on the Sixers.
And he's got a great defense, and he's a great shooter too, especially when he's in the zone. So right now, I can see where you're coming from, but this is something that I would have to look at going into next season, after the free agency, after the offseason, after all the trades, and then that's when I can make a statement and say, you know what, you're absolutely right. The Boston Celtics look like they're about to go on a dynasty. But as of right now, I can't take that credit away from the Warriors, because right now, currently constructed, and they'll look like this next year too. Any team that's got Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, and they're starting 4 out of 5. I know they don't have as much depth as they used to because they had to pay some players, but it's going to be tough to overcome a team that has run the NBA.
No, and I get that, and I understand that this is not a popular thing. Not a lot of people are going. The easy answer, I think, is going with the Warriors. But if you look at this dynasty thing, look at the Miami Heat when they got Wade, LeBron, and Bosh, and we can even count Ray Allen into that. This whole thing is, we're not going to win 4, we're not going to win 5, we're not going to win 6, we're going to win 7. They went to 4, and they won 2.
Just huge. Like, they screwed up big time.
They massively underachieved,
Yes,
but they still brought the city of Miami 2 titles. 2 titles that I wish the 76ers had. 2 titles I wish the Celtics had. 2 titles you probably wish the Bulls would have.
Yeah.
So they massively underachieved, that Miami team, and I think this is because when you're first going into it, you don't realize what it's going to look like 5 years down the road, how grueling it will be, how you will be getting everybody's best game every single night. And I think after 4 and 5 years of doing that, it becomes a wear and a tear, and you'd go downhill a little bit from that. And I think that is exactly what's going to happen with the Golden State Warriors next year.
I agree that it's going to happen. I just don't know if it's going to be next year. I think that these guys are still all in their primes, and they should be able to keep up the energy and whatnot. But I understand where you're coming from, and I can definitely see that happening. But I see it happening in closer to 3-4 years from now than next year. But will the Celtics go on a dynasty run? Sean says yes. Right as of right now, I've got to say no. I cannot agree with this, but I do understand where you're coming from. But coming up next, we've got the NFL Draft Review. Did one team massively screw up this draft after having as many picks as they did in the first 3 rounds? You'll find out next, right here on BTH.
Do you have the overwhelming urge to advertise something where it'll only reach 100 people? Well, don't we have the perfect thing for you? Right here, we will sell you this 30-second spot for whatever commercial you want, as long as you let us put this music with it. This music will be by Audionautics and Jason Shaw. Isn't this music fantastic? We sure think so, and that's why we're going to make you listen to it for a few more seconds. Now, back to the greatest sports podcast ever to be conceived.
With the first pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Baker Mayfield, quarterback, Oklahoma.
Really? Did the Browns really select Baker Mayfield with the first overall pick in this draft? We just talked about it last week, how Baker Mayfield should not have been the first overall pick.
There was no way he was going number 1.
And I even said it to you before the show. I'm like, yo, the reports are Baker's going first. You're like,
no,
yeah, it's just a smoke screen. No, it wasn't. And guess what? I am one happy camper. Can you guess why?
Because the Browns screwed up, you got the best quarterback in the draft.
I know we'll go into it, but have the Jets finally solved their quarterback issues for the next 15 years or so?
I won't say 15 years, but I won't make a statement like that. But I think that they've gotten a guy that they can rely on and actually build around for the first time since what, Joe Namath?
It's been 50 years, so it better be worth it.
Well, honestly, this is a quick thing. In your opinion, who's been the Jets' best quarterback, we'll say, since 2000? Who was the best one they've had?
Probably, in my opinion, it would have to be either Pennington or Vinny Testaverde.
Okay, yeah, those are my two that I would say. So maybe the first one, since, because Vinny Testaverde you guys had for a while. So the first one since Vinny Testaverde, you can actually like start to build around. Pennington, I thought was good.
Sanchez nobody thought anything of it when he was drafted. I didn't, at least.
Especially with like, when you have an offensive mind like Rex Ryan leading the helm.
Enough said. All right. Anyway, there's so much happened at the NFL draft. That like for Calvin Ridley dropped the Atlanta Falcons. That's a huge pickup for the Falcons. What else is new? The Browns screwed up the whole draft.
And they screwed up the fourth pick too, not just the first, but the fourth as well. They could have taken Chubb. They could have gone with the second quarterback to make sure they locked down that position. Because they already messed it up the first pick. So fourth pick, maybe we take another swing at it. But no, and not the pick that they got. I mean, they needed corner, but I mean,
you could have traded back for him.
Yeah.
You could have, and then you got Josh Rosen going at 10.
Yeah.
How does he fall to 10?
Yeah,
it's a great grab by Arizona.
Yeah, no, and to move ahead of Miami like that and just steal them from, yeah, great. I mean, but I don't understand what the Browns were freaking thinking. It was clear. You take the best quarterback, and then you take the best defensive guy or best offensive lineman, or you could go with Saquon Barkley and then take a quarter, and then you could still get like probably Baker Mayfield at number 4. Yep. If you really like Baker Mayfield, you still probably could have gotten him at number 4.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
So,
although something with the Jets pick, Todd Bowles will not state that Sam Darnold was at the top of his wish list, which kind of worries me because it's like, who are you scouting? Because clearly Baker Mayfield is not the top quarterback in this draft.
Yeah, and it's also weird too because I saw a story that the New England Patriots told Baker Mayfield's agent that if the Browns did not take him at number 1, then expect craziness at the number 2 pick. The New England Patriots told Baker Mayfield's agent this, which also kind of blows my mind. Like, what the hell are they freaking thinking? Like, I know they need a quarterback, New England does, for the successor of Tom Brady, but you don't need Baker Mayfield. I mean, Baker Mayfield sitting for 3 years actually probably isn't the worst thing in the world, but
it would give him time to develop, but it blows my mind. But so many crazy things happened at this draft. You had Ryan Shazier walk up, which was awesome.
That was cool.
It was really cool to see.
I had a teardrop down my eye.
Yeah, the Steelers actually did him well. They actually made his contract into a signing bonus, so he gets his full contract this year.
That was cool.
With the exception of like $200,000. It sounds like a lot, but not when you're making $8.5 million a year. So that was really good by the Steelers. And altogether, I think it was a really good first-round draft for the NFL. Everything went kind of smooth.
This is actually it's only the second time that I've watched the draft straight through, which is like, I mean, we got NBA playoffs going on, we got NHL playoffs going on. And I watched the whole thing all the way through, and I thought it was great.
I had my family here with me, so they're from Toronto.
Oh yeah,
and they're huge hockey fans.
Yep.
So we were switching back and forth because he's definitely a huge football guy. He grew up in Minnesota. But he's a huge Vikings fan. He was actually going to go to the Super Bowl if they made it to the Super Bowl. But yeah, we were switching back and forth, hockey and the draft. But
I already knew the Bruins were going to win that series, so I didn't even bother watching.
It was that was a really close. That was great
the
great
best
game
series that the NHL had for the first round.
Yeah, great game 7. The Leafs are up by 1 going into the third period. I said that they needed at least 2. I was wrong. They needed like 4. But the Bruins came. They showed why they're the second place in the Atlantic, right behind the Lightning. And this series is. We'll talk about it later. I don't want to go into it now. We're talking about the NFL draft right now. All right. So anyway, we have a couple teams here that we're going to buy and a couple teams that we're going to sell here. I want to start off with your teams that you're going to buy. Who are you buying after the draft?
Okay, so I am going to absolutely 100% buy the New York Giants. And now this isn't just with the draft. This is with just how the team looks after the draft and after free agency, well, main part of free agency anyway, and going into camp. I'm going to say the New York Giants. Look, adding Saquon Barkley, if the Giants firmly believe that they can squeeze 2 or 3 more years out of Eli Manning, I don't personally believe that. But what they did was they bolstered up the offensive line. They bolstered up the running back position significantly. They bolstered up the defense. and they have great wide receiver talent across the board. What they have done is they've put Eli Manning in a position to succeed. By taking the ball out of his hands, you're doing addition by subtraction, and you're going to be putting it more into Saquon's hands, and you're actually giving the running back an offensive line to protect him and to block for him so he can be successful as well. Offensive line, adding Nate Solder, you make him the highest paid offensive lineman in the entire NFL. That's a great move. I mean, I think he's the best left tackle in the game. You could make the case for the guy from Dallas. He's Tyron Smith. You can make a case for him. I'll let you make that case. That's fine. But really what the Giants did by bolstering up the offensive line, bolstering up the defense, and bolstering up the running back position, they really put Eli Manning in a situation to succeed. Now, Eli Manning has a record, I think, over the past 5 years, it's something like 15-37 against teams that are 500 or better in the NFL. That's absolutely terrible. So he needs to
hear that, Giant fans.
He needs to. That's not the exact record, but it's something along those lines where he's
bad.
He's lost almost twice as many games as won against teams that are 500 or better.
I'm not surprised. I think Eli Manning's a bottom 10 quarterback in the league.
So he needs to overcome that, and he now has the weapons to do so, and the running game to do so, and the protection to do so, and the defense looks pretty good. So I'm going to take the New York Giants. My other team. Now,
can I hold you right there?
Yeah, go ahead.
I only want to hold you there because I'm going to go into the New York Giants too. I'm actually selling them, though.
Okay.
I figured might as well, if we're talking about the Giants, to get it out of the way here. Okay. I agree with everything you said. I like what the Giants have done, but I'm selling low on them because Eli Manning's at the end of his career, and you need a replacement. They drafted somebody from a college that I didn't even know had a football team, and we both follow college football pretty heavily.
Richmond. They got Kyle Lauletta, which I knew they have a pretty decent basketball program,
but nobody knew football. And you have Sam Darnold sitting there, a player that you were known to take if he was available. And I understand Saquon Barkley is a once in a generational talent. But we said the same thing about Fournette and Zeke Elliott too. And Zeke Elliott's been
look how much of a bust they've been.
No, they've been good. They've been good. And we talked about this off air too. And Zeke Elliott has been the Cowboys have been nothing without him.
Yeah.
But look at the Jaguars, and Fournette was more highly rated than Zeke coming out of college. He was the highest rated running back to come out since Adrian Peterson. The Jags actually won all 3 games they played this year without him, and I think they went 7-4 with him, or no, 7-6 with him.
They went 7-6
and 3-0 without him. So that shows
that's the regular season.
So, it's the regular season, but it shows you that you need a whole team, but 2, you need a quarterback. And I know Blake Bortles is not the answer there, but Eli Manning's not the answer either. And if you have a quarterback sitting there that can take you probably to the promised land in 5 years from now after grooming under Eli Manning, I think it's a huge mistake not to take it, and that's why I have to sell low on them. Because Barkley may be a great player, but he's going to need a signal caller back there after Manning leaves. And right now they don't have that. And if they're going to get a high draft pick, they're going to have to be bad for a couple of years, and that kind of defeats the purpose of the Giants taking Barkley, which is why I got to sell low.
I completely understand what you're saying, and the Giants definitely needed a quarterback. We talked about it both times on air so many times that the Giants should draft the best quarterback available and not Saquon Barkley. But the thing is, the whole mentality is they think Eli Manning, they think they're good enough going into next year to win a Super Bowl. And if you honestly believe that, you need to put the pieces around your guy to make him succeed the most. And that's exactly what the Jaguars did last year. They took Blake Bortles. They didn't fully believe in Blake Bortles, but they believed in him enough that, you know what, if we put the pieces around you, we build up the defense, and we'll put you in position to succeed and win. And it happened.
Do you think the Giants are good enough to win a Super Bowl next year?
Do I think they are good enough? Well, all right, here's the thing. What Eli Manning is going to play? Is it the Eli Manning over the past 5 years, or is it going to be the Eli Manning from 2007 or the Eli Manning from 2011? Like, who knows? Like in my opinion, Eli Manning has had 2 good seasons as quarterback, and those are both years he won the Super Bowl.
I'm going to roll the dice.
Yeah, every other year he hasn't had in my opinion. And I know I sound like a hater when I say this.
He's led the league in turnovers like the last 5 years. I'm going to roll the dice right now. Right there, I rolled them air dice right on the table. Can you see him? They're telling you that Eli Manning is probably going to play like the last 5 years because he's not getting any younger.
That's crazy. I'm looking at the dice right now, and that's what they say.
So exactly. So it's just it doesn't make sense.
I think they're
them to pass
I think they're
on
better though because of everything they did, and he's not going to have to now. He's not going to have to make that jump ball throw to Odell. It's a matter of is he still going to do that?
I don't think so, and I think that they still have some locker room issues. They got to have somebody who's gonna kind of command the locker room. Odell Beckham's not going to do that. Eli Manning's not going to do that.
You think they need somebody like Tom Coughlin?
Not only Tom Coughlin, but they need somebody like on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Like I'm blanking on his name right now, and he went to Alabama too. How can I? Landon Collins. He's a vocal leader. They need him to be that vocal leader. You know what the vocal leader did last year? He called out his cornerback. You do that privately.
Yeah.
It's little things like that are going to deter the Giants. And I think if they have a pretty good team, yeah, but as far as looking to the future from this draft, I've got to sell low on them because I don't think that Barkley will be more successful than Darnold when push comes to shove. Okay,
all right. My next team that I'm buying, and I know I'm gonna sound a lot like a homer here, but I love what the New England Patriots did with this draft. They went into the draft needing offensive line, needing to bolster up running back, and needing secondary. They also needed backup quarterback, which they ended up getting very late guy from LSU, Danny Etling. But they went into the draft needing that. They drafted an offensive tackle. They drafted a running back. They drafted a cornerback. Well, they actually got him in a trade. And they got a linebacker. They got two linebackers. And they got another slot receiver from Miami, Braxton Berrios. Honestly, everything that they did, I'm looking at their draft right now, and I love every single pick that they had. And not to mention, with all those picks they had, they didn't even use all of them. They honestly traded them a lot out. But they ended up getting another right tackle from the 49ers, Trent Brown, so they can take their first overall pick, Isaiah Wynn from Georgia. He was originally an offensive tackle, but his body build is more for a guard. So with adding Trent Brown, they're going to have Trent Brown play left guard or left tackle, and they're going to have Isaiah Wynn play left guard, which is going to be perfect. They draft Sony Michel, who is the running back for Georgia, who had a great season, and
put up 100 yards against Alabama in the national championship. Who does that?
He dominated Oklahoma. Yeah. Honestly,
Leonard Fournette never broke 100 yards against Alabama in his 3-year career. So
with adding that, their running back situation, it seems like the Patriots, they just take Cincinnati Bengals running backs and they just add them. They took Jeremy Hill from this year. Rex Burkhead the year before, and they're just going to dominate with their running back core and Michelle and Burkhead, Hill, and James White.
I could have seen them drafting Braxton Berrios, though. Come on now. It's like a typical Patriots receiver there.
No, he's small white guy. I
didn't want to go there, but it's true.
Small white guy who can run the slide, yeah. And
you don't want to bring race into it, but at the same point, that's their...
It is. It's their mantra.
Look, Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola. Yeah. I mean, there is a history here, a track record.
And then I love the getting Duke Dawson in that, and I think it was Tampa Bay drafted him, and then there was a trade with that. So that I think they needed secondary, and they got him. They got Jawan Bentley from Purdue, a great linebacker, another linebacker from Arizona State, and they got a tight end from Florida State. So I think they did really good. Danny Etling, quarterback out of LSU. You know what's funny? LSU, I believe, had 7 players drafted or 8 players drafted in this draft, and they lost to Troy. They had 8 offensive players drafted. It was 8 offensive players drafted, and they lost to Troy this year.
I don't know how that doesn't make any sense.
How does that even happen? They have star players, and you look at LSU all the time. They never have a great offense, and you can look at a couple years ago that the LSU team had Jarvis Landry and Odell on the same team. Didn't even hear about them until they were drafted.
Yep. No, it's true because I didn't know who Jarvis Landry or Odell was until they were drafted. And I follow college football.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I just follow Alabama the most, obviously. But I follow other teams and like to see what they're doing. I want to go into one of the teams that I buy.
Okay.
And or both of them, and it'll be somewhat quick for 2 reasons. One for each team. I bought the Denver Broncos
Yes.
because
Yeah,
they took Bradley Chubb.
Yes, I completely agree with you.
I think that
if we could choose 3 teams each, that would have been my third team.
Yeah, and now you're pairing him with Von Miller. You have you're gonna have 2 people coming from the outside that are gonna be basically unstoppable. Bradley Chubb may be stoppable at first, but he has the makings to be the next kind of Von Miller. And if you got 2 Von Millers on a team, good luck. With the addition of Keenum, I mean, he is not a great quarterback, but we've seen that if he's got talent around him, he can definitely succeed. And I like the Broncos offense better than I like the Vikings offense. Yes, they're missing that running back, that key running back, but I'll take Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders over Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen any day of the week. Any day of the week. And you've got John Elway in the building at all times. I love this Broncos team now. I love how they picked Bradley Chubb, even though they needed a quarterback. They just took quite possibly the best player in this draft behind Saquon Barkley. It's just, I'm mind-boggled how we got the 5. But the second team that I bought is clearly, you're going to call me Homer too, but the Jets. But it's true. Once, it's true.
If they drafted nothing else after the first pick, it was still a win for the Jets this draft.
Yeah, because they got the one thing that they need. They are known to be able to build defensive players and whatnot, but they needed a quarterback.
So let me ask you, is the trade worth it?
Now,
because we can see what the Colts took with that pick.
Yes, regardless of what they took, we got Sam Darnold. The trade was worth it. The team, I wanted the Jets this year, my team, to go 0-16 so they could draft Sam Darnold, because I didn't think we'd have a shot at him unless we got the number 1 overall pick. And then the Browns are stupid enough to go and pick Baker Mayfield. And don't get me wrong, it's not a slight against Baker, but who's going to be the better quarterback?
Yeah, I think
it's going to be Sam Darnold.
And also, it's like. Like Sam Darnold, I think he has a better situation around him than if he went to Cleveland, but he's better by himself. He's better by himself than Baker Mayfield is better by himself.
Yes, agreed.
Baker Mayfield is going to be good. And I think Baker Mayfield is going to be okay. I think he's going to be better.
Weapons.
I think he's going to be better than Lamar Jackson as an NFL career.
Oh, me too.
I think he could be just as good as Josh Allen as an NFL career.
I don't think he's going to have a bad NFL career. I just think that Sam Darnold's going to have a better one.
Yeah, exactly.
And with that being said, that's why I'm buying high in the Jets. They haven't had a quarterback that we just talked about really in 50 years. More than that, actually, since not 63, I think it was? No, 68?
Yeah.
It's been so long, I can't even remember. I'm pretty sure it was 68. It might have been 63, though. I'm forgetting. It's been a long day. And you walked into the building today. You could see that I'm just mentally and physically drained. But if you get the star quarterback that you need, you have to buy high in that team.
Yeah,
and if I had to buy high in another team, it would probably be the Arizona Cardinals for the reason of getting Josh Rosen at 10, because you got great value on that, and now you still have Fitz for another year at least. You still have David Johnson coming back from injury. It's not a bad situation to be in Arizona, and you're going to play in a dome. You're not moving too far from home. I love the situation for Josh Rosen. That would be my third team if I had to buy.
Yeah, no, I like what Arizona did as well. The team that I want to sell, though, is the Oakland Raiders. It seems like the Oakland Raiders, they forgot that there is a defensive side of the ball this year. I don't know. I guess that's why they kind of drafted all defensive players in the draft. Yeah, exactly. So, but this is a team. I like what they did with their first pick, Colton Miller. I thought they picked him a little early, but they kind of had to. I mean, they couldn't wait till the second round to take him, and they need the offensive line. I mean, they were supposed to have a great offensive line last year. It was kind of but Donald Penn is going to be there only for one more year, so they need to fill that position up. And this is a position where you look at the AFC West, and it seems like elite pass rushers just grow on trees. I mean, let's just look at each team, just each team. Denver Broncos, Von Miller, and what if Bradley Chubb becomes a superstar? LA Chargers, Joey Bosa. He's been amazing, and they have another guy.
Melvin Ingram.
Yes, Melvin. Thank you. Amazing. And we look at the Kansas City Chiefs, and you got Justin Houston. Tom Ali. I mean, they're loaded.
They're getting older, but they're still effective.
They're still amazing. So you got to be able to defend your quarterback, your franchise quarterback, in Derek Carr. So the Colt Miller pick I like, but they got a lot of defensive players that just really I don't think are going to make a difference at all. They didn't upgrade their defense, which is their number one need last year. Their defense is terrible. I mean, they have Khalil Mack, but they ain't got nothing else besides him.
I've read he's on the trade block.
Yeah, because they need to get more defensive players. It
makes sense.
They don't look to be contenders unless Derek Carr carries the team. They don't look to be contenders. I mean, the second team I want to sell is the Seattle Seahawks. Look, they have Russell.
That's surprising.
I mean, they got Russell Wilson, so they'll be a good, decent team. But if you're looking at that division, I think the Rams are going to win that division, and I think the 49ers are going to be better than Seattle.
A wild card team.
Yeah, I think they're going to be. I don't think Seattle's going to be terrible, but I hate the Rashad Penny pick. I can't believe that they took him at number 27 overall when they have so many deficiencies at the offensive line and they lost like all their defensive players. Like, what are they doing taking a running back?
And if you're going to take a running back, you got to take a better one. Geist was on the table.
Yes, and Michelle was on the. I'd rather have Sony Michel than
Nick Chubb.
And Nick Chubb. So, like, I don't know what the hell they were doing with Rashad Penny. I'm not trying to hate on Rashad Penny. I think he's going to be a fine player in the NFL, but it's just not what you pick number one in the first round when you have so many other needs. Like running back, yeah, they could use running backs, but like they need offensive linemen to block for their running backs and to protect Russell Wilson so he can make plays down the field. So, just going forward with everything that the Seattle has lost this year.
What about Griffin?
Yeah, no, I like that pick, and I think he's going to be a good player, but
do you think having one hand will kind of,
well, all right, here,
it's going where he's
it's going to. I mean, there's only so much ceiling he has, but when you're a defensive player, when you're a linebacker, I mean, missing a hand isn't really like the biggest deal. Like, he just needs to swat it down. That's really
Paul plays with a club,
and exactly, and he still has interception. He still had interceptions in college, so it's just like you just gotta. I mean, I'm sure he knows how to work that.
Gotta give him some real credit right here on the show. You got to give him
for sure
some real credit because he just Shaq Griffin.
It's amazing.
Words don't describe what he's been able to accomplish just with one hand, and now he's drafted.
I'm glad he was drafted. I'm really glad
because I'm glad he went to the Seahawks. So he's going to play with his brother.
That's the kind of team that would draft him.
And he's going to play with his brother.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm selling the Raiders and I'm selling the Seahawks. How about you? What's your other team?
My last team that I'm selling, we kind of went over it throughout the podcast already, but it's the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
You screw up the draft, you screw up the pick 1, you screw up pick 4, even though both players will probably pan out, just not the players that you should have drafted at those places. Plain and simple, right there. You have to buy low on them. You have to sell them. You have so many picks in the first couple of rounds to increase your team, and then to screw up 2 of the first 4 picks in the draft.
Yeah.
It just, I think everybody on this planet is wondering what's going on in the Browns organization in their front office because clearly they're on mushrooms or acid or something crazy when scouting players.
I mean, I hope they are because at least then they have an excuse.
Yes, exactly. But I have to sell low on the Browns for that reason. I do like the Raiders, how you sold low on them. It makes a ton of sense. They did not have a good draft. I'm not really sure what John Gruden, who watches more football tape than any person on this planet, was thinking drafting all these players. But
I mean, he hasn't been out of football, but he has been out of football. I mean, doing what he does, looking at the tape for preparing for a Monday Night Football broadcast is not the same as preparing for a team in the NFL. And the NFL has changed 12 years ago since he's last been coaching.
Every sport has.
Yeah, but football has changed so drastically.
Every year there's
back when
rules.
He was coaching, quarterback wasn't as important as it is today. Running back was more important back when he was coaching.
Yep.
And I mean, yeah, no, I think Raiders are gonna. I think it's gonna be a lot of interesting times for the Oakland Raiders ahead.
Oh, I wish John Gruden nothing but the best, though.
Yeah,
I loved listening to him on Monday Night Football. I love how he was so enthusiastic about everything and really knew what was going on. But enough with the NFL draft. We both agree that on a lot of teams, actually, even though we didn't pick
Just the
same
Giants we
teams.
disagree on, really.
Is what we disagree on. And in a sense, I agree with you. I just disagree that they...
No, and I agree with you going forward. It's dumb. I mean, the Giants should have taken the quarterback. But if we're just looking at buying stock for 1 year, I like the Giants stock for this year. But for 5 years down the road, no, I don't.
All right, well, coming up next, we're going to go right into the final quarter. We got crazy amounts of questions, all different types of sports, all different types of questions, and even some breaking news. But before I go, remember to follow us on iTunes at Between the Hash Marks, follow us on Facebook at Between the Hash Marks, follow us on YouTube at Between the Hash Marks, and finally, follow us on iHeartRadio app at Between the Hash Marks, and continue to tune in and giving us the love. We very much appreciate it, and we very much appreciate all
Download the
support you've given us.
iHeart app right now. Download it right now and follow us.
Do it. You're listening to BTH.
Do you have the overwhelming urge to advertise something where it'll only reach 100 people? Well, don't we have the perfect thing for you? Right here, we will sell you this 30-second spot for whatever commercial you want, as long as you let us put this music with it. This music will be by Audionautics and Jason Shaw. Isn't this music fantastic? We sure think so, and that's why we're going to make you listen to it for a few more seconds. Now, back to the greatest sports podcast ever to be conceived.
About that Sam Darnold pick, though, man, it was. I am so excited for the Jets. Not this season, but next season, because.
Well, we're back on the air.
Well, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I just wanted to mention this. Even it could be on the air, it could be off the air. I think that you don't have a better guy to learn from than Josh McCown.
Yeah.
He may not be the most talented quarterback, but he's really going to help Darnold become a pro. And I think that he'll start maybe like game 10 or 11 or 12, somewhere in that range, and he'll play the last 4 or 5 games of the season, and then he'll be the starter next year. But I think he's going to learn a lot from McCown.
It's funny that the best quarterback coaches are like journeyman average quarterbacks.
Yep. So and McCown is. I've read articles that said that he couldn't have gotten a better mentor than Josh McCown. So I'm really happy about that. But you're right. We are back live now, and we're not talking about football anymore as we were during the break. We are on to the final quarter, and we have so many different sports to talk about today.
We got our breaking news
first. Breaking news. David Fizdale, old coach of the Memphis Grizzlies, is now the new coach of the New York Knicks. New York Knicks. Wow, I can't talk. What are your thoughts?
Well, first off, you got to do those mouth exercises again. But no, this is a great signing for the New York Knicks. I'm actually a little scared to hear about it, knowing that they'll have to face the Celtics and the Sixers every year, multiple times a year. Dave Fizdale, when he was on the Miami Heat, I believe he was the defensive coach for those Miami Heat teams under Spoelstra with LeBron and Wade and Chris Bosh, and he did a really good job. I thought he did a really good job in Memphis. I thought it was a little unfair of them to get rid of him.
Agreed.
Like, I mean, what do they expect when their point guard, who they outpaid out the ass for, is season-ending injury? Marc Gasol is not the same as he was 3 years ago. So yeah,
Rudolph's gone.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean. The Fizdale to the Knicks, this is great. I think he's going to be really good for Porzingis. And this team, the Knicks, if Porzingis can stay healthy, this is going to be a team that wins 37, 38 games, maybe sneaks into the playoffs. So, I think this is a really great signing for the New York Knicks. They finally got a basketball mind in them.
It's about time, and they needed somebody like him who brings a fresh mindset, and not some of the old school basketball that they had. Although I thought Mark Jackson would have been a great hire too.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, next question. USA Today pre-ranked all of the college football teams after their spring practices, and they currently have my FAU Owls at number 17th overall. FAU plays the number 7 Oklahoma Sooners first game of the season. If FAU wins this game and they win every other game by 2 scores or more, so we're going to say 9 points or more, are they in the college football playoff? And if they are or not, do they have a better chance at getting there than UCF? did last year.
Yes to the second question for sure.
To UCF this past year.
Yes to that, because if they beat Oklahoma, they will beat somebody who's better than anybody UCF played. Number one. Number two, there's so many moving parts here. If there are there are 3 undefeated teams from the SEC, the Big Ten, say Ohio State, Alabama, and Clemson all go undefeated.
Yeah,
then they won't have a chance. But that being said, if it kind of went how last year went, FAU would be in the playoffs next year.
That's what I like to hear.
So I do think that and Lane Kiffin's he's a good coach. All right, quickly. Soccer. When we don't talk about a huge amount of soccer on here, but the big events are noteworthy. The Champions League's finals, which is between the 2 best European teams all over the European leagues, have been determined, and it will be the heavy favorites of Real Madrid facing off against the unlikely Liverpool. Does Liverpool have a chance? Did you know that LeBron James owns 2% of Liverpool?
I did know that.
And he bought,
great article.
Yeah, and he bought, I think it was $6 million for a buy-in, and now it's worth like 35.
Yep. Yeah, no,
great investment.
He's not only a better player than Michael Jordan, but he's also much more savvy with money.
I wouldn't go as far as either of those, because Michael Jordan still has the biggest shoe brand in the world. Yeah, Michael Jordan. Yeah, exactly. He's a billionaire, not a millionaire. A billionaire.
Yeah, LeBron's gonna be a billionaire. It's only a matter of time until LeBron's a billionaire.
That's okay. He can catch Jordan money. He's not gonna catch him on a basketball
side note,
court.
Jose Calderon is actually a billionaire.
Yes, he is.
He's a 2 billionaire actually, which is basketball is just a side gig for him. We actually posted that on our page. Follow us on Facebook. But yeah, no. Okay, so what Liverpool has to do? They have this great player named Mohamed Salah. He's an Egyptian player. Normally, great players don't come out of Egypt, but he was the best player in the English Premier League this year. I think he led the league in goals. So if he has, they just play one game for the championship matchup. If they can hold Ronaldo down to 0 goals, which is very unlikely. Bayern actually did it twice, and I believe it was the only 2 games that Ronaldo had in this Champions League where he did not score a goal. So he needs to go a 3rd game without scoring a goal, and Sanaa, I think, needs to have 2 goals. And I think, I know 2 goals sounds like a lot, but for somebody like Mo Salah, it's not out of the question. But I think Liverpool wins this game pretty easily. I say 3-1.
All right. I don't follow too much soccer.
You know who Ronaldo is, though.
Of course. I know who Messi is. I know who Neymar is. I understand it. I know Neymar's on Paris now instead of Barcelona.
Mohamed Salah is a name that you should become familiar with, especially for the World Cup coming up, because Egypt is in the World Cup and they're in it because of him. So
okay.
he's
maybe that'll be the team I follow, considering our hometown USA couldn't just squeeze in. But anyway, as far as this, I'm gonna go Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Just they're the heavy favorites. Ronaldo, he's getting older. He's not going to be the player he is. Although, I mean, if you look at Ronaldo, if you just look at him, he is literally sculpted like a god. It's unreal. The man is Tom Brady on steroids with
like physical physique.
Yeah, it's insane. I don't know how he does it, but it's good for him. And I'm going to take Real Madrid just because of Ronaldo.
Okay. Next question, we have JT Daniels. He's looking to become the next USC quarterback, and he finished his junior and senior years of high school at the same time to be able to play, to be able to be the USC quarterback this upcoming fall. How freaking impressive is this?
It's very impressive. Very, very, very impressive. I've never seen this in college football before.
No, never.
But is he going to be successful year one? I'm going to give you a flat out no, because he is going to be underaged. He's going to be underpowered. And I think that it's like jumping from the college to the NFL. You got bigger players. You got faster players. You're going from, you should be playing high school as a quarterback against players you're, stomping out, for lack of a better term. And now you're going to go up and play with some big boys in college. They're not NFL players yet, but there's still the age difference, and I think it's going to make a difference. Although it is very, very impressive that he did that. And JT Daniels, I wish you nothing but the best, and I hope you become a great quarterback, for real.
Yeah, no, I want to put in one tidbit for this. JT Daniels, he's actually he's an open Buddhist. He found Buddhism, and he practices it like every day. This is in the article that they had about him, the article about him taking his junior and senior classes together, and that this has helped him become who he is. And so I just think that's a cool thing that you don't see open Buddhists in the
No,
NFL.
no, you don't.
So I just think that's really cool. And yeah, like you said, I wish him nothing but the best. And I'm rooting for him because he seems like a really bright kid.
Do you think he's going to struggle a little bit year one, being underage?
Yeah, but we'll see. But I mean, how impressive would it be if he didn't?
I'll tell you what, if he plays well next year and has the year that Sam Darnold had his first year, I'll be very impressed. I will. I'll tip my cap. I'll tip my cap to him, and I don't tip my cap very often to.
Tip for tat?
Yeah, I don't do that very often. But clearly, I can't talk today, and
You gotta
clearly,
do those exercises, man.
clearly, I need to nap or something. I don't know what it is. I can't think straight, and I got a 40-minute drive home after this. Hey, am I even gonna get home?
Probably not.
Hopefully.
You gotta get those crab rangoons.
Don't jinx me. That's right. I still owe you crab rangoons. And we're going to talk about that team that I owed you for in a second. But I want to get really quick because we're running out of time on this show, even though I shouldn't say that because it sounds like we don't.
Oh, just
we're
shut up
not
and
good with
ask
time
me the
management,
question.
but we are. With Steph Curry coming back and scoring 28 off the bench in Game 2, and now Golden State is up 2-0 on the Pelicans already. Would you say this is more a statement by the Warriors or the Pelicans overrated coming into the series after sweeping the Blazers?
So, I mean, we kind of all forgot how good the Warriors were. I mean, Steph Curry hasn't been around for the last 6 weeks or whatever.
Yep.
And we've seen the Warriors struggle a little bit. But if you listen to the previous podcast or 2 previous podcasts ago where I talked about in the NBA, I give you the full NBA playoff predictions. This is the round that I said, the Warriors are going to sweep the Blazers. It's actually going to be the Pelicans. Little did I know it was going to be the Pelicans. Funny. But this is where they make us look like fools because we were like, the Warriors are this, the Warriors are that. No, the Warriors are going to win their second title in a row in 3 and 4 years. So that's what the Warriors are going to do. They're making us look foolish. But the Pelicans are still a really good team. This isn't anything against them. It's just they have to face the Warriors.
Yeah, it's not what they were asking for, I'll tell you that. They would have much rather played the Rockets in the second round.
All right, next
or the
question.
Jazz.
Next question. The Tampa Bay Lightning poured it on first period of Game 3, taking a 2-1 lead in the series. Are the Bruins in trouble, and by how much, if at all?
They're definitely in trouble. The thing is that they play 2 different styles. Tampa is a fast team. They're a finesse team. The Bruins are a big and physical team with some speed there.
Yep.
But Tampa is matching the physicality, and they're outspeeding, in a sense, the Boston Bruins. They're winning races. The Game 1, and to me, it was a fluke. Yes, they lost 6-2. Boston played well, but Boston was coming off of,
they had the momentum in the drive.
They had the momentum, and Tampa Bay was off for a whole week
and it seemed,
after winning in 5 against New Jersey.
It seems like that first line for Boston, which has been so good over the season, hasn't really been able to do anything the past couple games.
And if they don't produce, Boston's done.
I agree.
Because Tampa Bay is too powerful. They have too many weapons, and from the looks of last night's game, Tampa Bay is going to win the Stanley Cup if they can play that well every game.
All right.
How important was it that Cleveland won Game 1 in Toronto? And do the Raptors have a shot at winning this series with not having home court advantage anymore?
The Raptors?
The Raptors. I knew that was coming. I knew it was coming. I'm done. I will see you later. I'm turning off the mic. Bye.
Come on, put me back on.
All right, I'm back.
Yeah, no. So,
but the Raptors.
Yeah. So this game this game wasn't the end of the world if the Cavs lost this game, but it is absolutely 100% devastating that the Raptors couldn't seal the deal in Game 1. They had all the rest. This LeBron team was gassed. LeBron in this Game 1, at the end of Game 1, was completely gassed. But how are you the number 1 seed and you miss your final 11 shots from the field? You go 15 of 16, including in the overtime. You stop giving it to DeMar DeRozan. He becomes not as good of a player. Kyle Lowry, what's he doing? Like, where's he at? Valanciunas, dude, you gotta dunk the ball. What, you can't put in a 2-foot layup? Dunk it. I don't understand it. But this series, I think the Raptors, LeBron's too much in their head, and I don't think it's over. I think the Raptors are actually gonna win Game 2. We actually got it going on right now, but I think they win Game 2, but the series is over. I say LeBron in 6. The Cleveland LeBrons in 6.
Okay. All right.
Next question. We're talking about Washington Capitals and Pittsburgh Penguins. The Washington Capitals, they gave a 1-goal lead only to come back and beat their rivals, the Pittsburgh Penguins, in Game 3. What specifically needs to keep happening for the Caps to move on?
They got to keep playing the way they're playing. Now, what I mean by that is they got to keep winning races to pucks. They have to win the little battles. They can't be afraid to go into the corners and take that physical check that they might get from a not too physical team. But when you go into the corners, you got to expect to get hit. And when I watch hockey, there are certain players that I see slow down and will kind of glide their way into the corner and kind of wrestle with the defender before they get there instead of taking that big hit and going in there and make the play. And I can't stand watching that. The Capitals don't do that. They've been playing well. They've been winning races to pucks. They've been winning all the little battles. And you know what? Their best player has shown up. Their best player has shown up, plain and simple. He scored in both games at home. Then they come to Pittsburgh, and the announcer says, oh, look, Crosby scores, and Ovechkin scores in both games at home. Now Pittsburgh gets Crosby to score, and what happens? Ovechkin comes back and scores in the last minute of the game like a true captain does, and their best players are showing up, and that's what they haven't had in the playoffs in all these years. Now Ovechkin has shown up, but not all the rest of them, and they finally look like they've put it all together. And the Capitals, they look like they could be the best team in this year's playoffs right now. They are scary.
All right.
With the Celtics taking care of Game 1 at home, winning by 16, and having, in your words, the best coach in the league, do the young, mostly inexperienced Sixers truly stand a chance in this series?
They absolutely stand a chance. This is absolutely ridiculous. Look, they lost by 16 points, but here's what happened. The Sixers shot 19.2% from three-point range. I can bet you anything in the world that they will have a better three-point shooting percentage than 19.2%. Also, the Boston Celtics, they shot 48.6% from three, which they shot better from the three-point range than they did from field goal range. So, yeah, that's not going to happen either. So, I actually like the Sixers to take. I think Game 2 is tonight, later tonight at 8:30. We're recording here on Wednesday, or Thursday, whatever day it is.
It's definitely Thursday this week.
Thankfully, it's Thursday.
Somehow I know the day, but I can't even talk.
But, yeah, so I think Philly absolutely stands a chance. And if Boston loses, that says nothing against Brad Stevens. That says more about Philly than it says about the Celtics. Celtics are completely decimated. Yeah, the Sixers definitely still stand a chance. All right. San Jose dominated Game 4 to tie the series up 2-2. Have your opinions changed on this series at all, or is it going exactly how you thought it was going to happen?
It's going exactly how I thought it was going to happen. I picked San Jose in 7. They got shut out 7-0 in Game 1. I was mind blown. I even put on Facebook, I mean, how are they doing it is unreal. How they're taking all this talent that nobody wanted and they're making it work. And realistically, Marc-Andre Fleury has stood on his head, and when he doesn't stand on his head for the 2 games that he hasn't, that's what happens. They lose. There's the buzzer, but I'm going to continue to go. I think we got 2 more questions.
Yep, let's go.
And I want to get through them all.
Lightning round.
Lightning round. Got it. I love it. All right, so quickly, this series is going exactly how I planned. Sharks are going to still win in 7. It's kind of gone back and forth. 7-0, and then it was 4-1. No.
4-0 last night.
4-0 last night, but San Jose won in overtime in Game 2, and then they lost 4-1 in Game 3. So it's kind of been up and down series for both teams, but I think San Jose comes out on top because of their experience, but it's going exactly how I thought.
Okay.
Last question for basketball. Before the second round started, people already assumed, including myself, probably including you, it would be the Rockets versus the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. It probably will be. But are the Jazz the real deal after ousting the Thunder, who have superstars, and now splitting 2 home games with the series tied at 1 heading back to Utah against the Rockets? Are they the real deal?
Yeah, Utah is definitely the real deal. I was telling you this yesterday, and you're like, who, the Jazz? But yeah, the Utah freaking Jazz are the real deal. They're still without Ricky Rubio, and they're still the real deal. They struck gold with Donovan Mitchell. Rudy Gobert, he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year. Jay Crowder is a nice piece. Ricky Rubio, when he comes back, if he can come back, another great player. Big Joe Ingles, looks like he plays in your YMCA league. Little did you know he actually did play in your YMCA league. He's the real deal as well. They shot 46% from 3 last night to win game 2. Rockets shot 27%. That's not going to happen. Either one of those are going to happen. So the Rockets are fine. They're going to win this series. I think they're going to win it in 6. Maybe might go 7. But Utah is the real deal. And the fact that people would just count them out against the Thunder, I just want to say because I predicted that the Jazz would beat them, and all y'all are wrong, and Westbrook sucks, and we're moving on. Next question.
Westbrook doesn't suck, but he is definitely the problem in Oklahoma City. I'll definitely give you that. Very quickly, why the hell are the Utah Jazz the Utah Jazz? It should be the New Orleans Jazz.
Well, they were the New Orleans Jazz, and they moved. That's what happened. They were the New Orleans Jazz, and they moved to Utah. Why they kept the name Jazz when they should just be like the Mormons or something?
No, I was gonna say the Pelicans. Why not? Just the Utah Pelicans. I mean, there's probably Pelicans there.
They could do something like the Salt Miners or something like that.
But there's no Jazz there. I mean, there's no Jazz in Oklahoma City.
There's no Jazz in Oklahoma City either. But yeah, none in Utah. All right. But final question here: Nashville, Winnipeg. Nashville, Winnipeg gave up a 3-0 lead to lose Game 3. To Winnipeg, 7-4. 7-4. You're down 3-0 and you win 7-4. Wow.
Power plays.
Yeah, right. On the road. How could something like this happen? And can Nashville move forward from this horrific performance in periods 2 and 3?
They can definitely move forward, but they are in trouble. The reason that the Jets came back was because Nashville takes a lot of penalties. They were the most penalized team in the regular season. You cannot win in the Stanley Cup playoffs by taking penalties. Number 2, you're playing in Winnipeg. You're playing in a hockey-crazy city. There are no more Canadian teams left. Everybody in Canada is rooting for the Winnipeg Jets. I'm telling you, I just had family in from Canada, and they were trying to explain to me how hockey is not a sport there. It is a religion. Everybody lives, eats, breathes, sleeps, showers in hockey. It is life.
Okay, so question.
Women, girls, boys, men, transgenders, everybody plays and follows hockey. It is totally different, and the crowd in Winnipeg absolutely helped the outcome in that game. But this is going to go 7, I think.
So question. You're saying everybody that's a Canadian is rooting for Winnipeg. What if it was something like Toronto? Would Toronto fans ever root for the Montreal Canadiens in the Stanley Cup Finals if the other team was like Los Angeles or whatever?
It's tough. It's tough and those are the only 2 teams that you could probably say it with.
Okay, all right.
Because they've got such an intense rivalry.
But everything else, all Canadians wrap behind Canadian teams.
But they will, yeah, because they want to see. When's the last time a Canadian team won a Stanley Cup? It has been a while.
I mean, they only have like 8 or 9 teams, though. 6.
I believe it's 6. You got Vancouver, you got Edmonton, you have Calgary, you have Ottawa, you have Winnipeg. 7. 6. You have Montreal, and you have Toronto. And Ottawa will be moving soon. Yep. I guarantee you. Mark that word.
Did you say Vancouver?
Right here, right now. Yeah, Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary,
Winnipeg,
Toronto, Winnipeg,
and Montreal,
and Ottawa.
Yep. Okay.
And Ottawa won't be in Ottawa much longer. They need a new stadium. Their stadium is crap. They can't even fill that stadium in a Canadian city, which is an embarrassment. I guarantee you they end up in Hamilton, Ontario, or they're going to end up in Quebec City, but they're not going to move out of Canada. But that being said, yeah, this series is going 7, and Winnipeg has all the momentum right now, but they still have to go back to Nashville. And Nashville is no joke to play in. And in reality, yes, Nashville has to win 1 game on the road, but that's all they have to win on the road.
Yeah.
They're a tough team to beat at home. This series is definitely not over. I know that the bell went off 5 minutes ago, but I forgot to ask you before. I'm going to ask you right now. Corey Seager on the Dodgers, done. He's got Tommy John surgery, superstar, shortstop for the Dodgers. Does this affect them? Is their season over?
The season's not over, but this definitely affects them. They're having trouble. They were having trouble with him. Never mind without him. But, I mean, I think they're going to struggle to make the playoffs. They're currently sitting in 4th in that division. Their record is 14-17. They're behind the Giants, Rockies, and Diamondbacks. And the wild card race is shaping up. I mean, it looks like the Central's a lot better than we thought. It looks like Pittsburgh, Chicago, St. Louis, and Milwaukee are all pretty good. The East is better than we thought. Atlanta, the Mets, the Phillies, and the Nationals all look pretty good. The Dodgers don't look good at all. At all.
How about them D-backs?
D-backs looking pretty good, 21-10.
Yeah, they look really
Best
good.
team in the National League right now.
Yep. And It's just the baseball season's been awesome.
Yeah.
We got to talk about baseball next week.
We will.
It has
More-
been way
more
too
baseball
long.
next
Yeah,
week.
definitely more baseball next week. It has been way too long. We'll have more NHL updates.
Yep.
The second round will be just about over. If not, we might have a couple teams that have already moved on.
Yep.
Even though we're seeing the two best series right now, which is going to be Tampa Bay and Boston,
and Winnipeg and
Winnipeg
Nashville.
and
Yep.
Nashville, which is stupid in my opinion, and I can't stand
That
it.
is.
But anyway, moving on. That is it for our show today. Another loaded show. I mean, even though I was kind of dull today, it happens.
It's all right.
I'll
carry ya.
Yeah, you carry it.
I'm
How's your
messing
back
with it.
feeling?
Yeah, I need a massage. If I can get a massage, I'll be pretty good for next week.
All right. Well, there's an Asian parlor down the street.
Perfect. You told me they were pretty good.
Yeah, they might even give you a happy ending.
That's the only reason why I go.
All right. Well, perfect. This show is going to end with a happy ending. So, sayonara from us right here at the iHeart Studio. You're listening to BTH.
We out.